Alright, what's going on, Big Blue Nation, sports fans all over the world? Welcome to S.M.E. I'm your host, Shakes Montana, and I got a special guest. And of course, I always got, so far I've been having great guests come on to the show, and this guy is no less. I'm going to always let the guy introduce himself, let the people know who you are, where they can find you, all that good stuff, all that good nature. Go ahead, coach. What you got for him?
Yes, sir. Coach Gene Clemons. You can find me on all social media at Gene Clemons. Definitely go to the New York Giants on SI YouTube channel. Check out a giant issue with Coach Gene Clemons. You could also get it on anywhere you get your DSPs, anywhere you listen to your podcast. Check that out. And then my own YouTube channel, Coach Gene Clemons. You can check me out there. And if you love fantasy football and everything that comes with it, go over to Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life. That's where you'll see me writing. You'll see me on shows. Our LG show that comes on every Tuesday and Thursday, and then live every Sunday morning at 12. You can check everything out there. So that's where you can all the places that you can find me. But check me out on socials, and you'll never miss when I'm popping up.
No doubt, man. It's crazy you say that fantasy football thing, cause you kind of caught me into that. Like, I know we set this up, and I didn't think the draft would be this long. Pause, but so I'm sitting here like, oh, hold on. I'm like, was it tonight or tomorrow? I'm like, oh, wait. All right, I got this. Boom. So I'm sitting here trying to go through both things, but I mean, multitask, bro. You got to do some things sometimes. Um, so first off, let me just say, how you feeling about this New York Football Giant team right now? Like, what are you thinking about going into this season?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good about this team as far as for as many years as I've covered the Giants and I've heard Giants fans talk about their team. I always feel as if there's been some trepidation. And while, New Yorkers or New York Giants fans have a tendency to be pessimistic just by nature, I've felt that there's been a lot of positivity, a lot of hope in the air. And I like to start with hope because like everybody starts the season 0-0. But there's some really good elements to like about this team. And it's funny because I tend to think things are stronger than other people think they are when it comes to this team. It just really all matters about how it gets put together.
What do you mean by that?
Like for instance, a lot of people will tell you, "Oh well, Darius Slayton, he's okay." But then in the same breath will tell you that Daniel Jones was the problem with the team. So if Daniel Jones, the quarterback, is the problem with the team, then wouldn't that mean he has effectively stunted the growth of the wide receiver who's been with him the entire time as the de facto number one wide receiver until last year? Like, so this idea that somehow Slayton is limited or only has a certain level on his ceiling, we don't really know because he's never had the opportunity to work with an elite level quarterback or even a mid-level consistent producing type of quarterback in his entire NFL career. He's been working with Daniel Jones and the byproducts of when Daniel Jones gets hurt since he was drafted. So I look at stuff like that and go, well, if that guy is now your number two and possibly even your wide receiver three because you really love Wan'Dale Robinson, like, doesn't that mean you have a pretty damn strong number three or number two if that guy was the number one wide receiver on this team when this team went to the playoffs last? Like, I feel like people will poo-poo it and go, oh, we need wide receiver help. And I'm like, what are they going to come in and help? Who are you going to find out there that's better than Darius Slayton? Who are you going to find out there that's more dynamic, has more elements to them than Wan'Dale Robinson? Those guys don't exist on the free agent market. If you're talking about trading for somebody, how much are you going to have to give up for someone that gives you better than the wide receivers you already have on board? Like, if anybody wanted to say anything about the wide receiving core and what they bring to the table, it would be the decisions on who they decided to keep after those top 4 or 5 guys, because I think that's really more of an interesting, like, unknown than what the top guys are going to do.
So you thinking the wide receiver stable is more underrated than people are laid off to be?
Well, I just don't know how you can say, hey, the quarterback is bad, and then not give the wide receivers the same type of grace you've given the team. You can't say the wide receivers are bad when the wide receivers are dependent upon the quarterback. Like, anybody who thinks that Malik Neighbors had a efficiently good season last year, people who just don't know football. Like, you should not get that many targets and only put up that many yards, right? Like, that amount of targets, the amount of targets that he got last year, that's 1,500 to 1,600 yards of production, not 1,200 yards of production. Like, when you look at the amount of targets that Wan'Dale Robinson received and the amount of receptions that he caught, like, that is completely inefficient. Are you going to blame it all on Wan'Dale Robinson? Or are you going to say, hey, the quarterback was throwing these balls that Wan'Dale Robinson never had an opportunity to turn, look, get upfield, and make something happen? Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, the wide receiver sucks. Well, the quarterback that was throwing to him sucks as well. Well, then how do we know who was what? The reason that we know it's Daniel Jones is because we've seen it happen with countless receiver after receiver after receiver, where they don't have the level of efficiency that you would like to see outside of Darius Slayton. And with Darius Slayton, the interesting part is he never received the amount of targets that Wan'Dale Robinson received, let alone Malik Neighbors in his career. Imagine if he had gotten 120 targets in the season. What would his numbers have looked like? So, like, I look at all these things and go, man, this wide receiving core is probably in much better shape than what people tend to think it is. Even if you say, hey, Jalen Hyatt might just be a bust.
Okay. So talk about this quarterback room, though. How you feel about the quarterbacks?
Well, I think the quarterback room is solid. Like, it's clearly a better quarterback room than what we saw last year, or pretty much any other year that we've seen there. Like, anytime that you can have 4 quarterbacks and the starter goes to the bench and all 3 of the backups come in and show out, I don't care against what competition you're talking about. That's a good sign. If a Jameis Winston can be productive with the 3s going against 3s, then that means he'll be productive with the 1s going against 1s. That just makes sense. I don't understand how people don't get that. I think that Jackson Dart did everything he could this offseason or this preseason to prove that he should just get the start from day one. And I love the fact that they went, yeah, go sit down, youngster. Right? Like, I like the fact that he gave them a difficult choice to make, and yet they didn't take the easy choice. Like, the choice that would have been the popular choice with the masses. Hey, everybody's feeling Jackson Dart. Let's start Jackson Dart. They didn't. They said, you know what? We understand that Jackson Dart was seeing vanilla defenses in second and third teams. We don't know if he's ready for the exotics of the NFL. We don't have to rush him. That's why we brought in Russell Wilson. That's why we brought in Jameis Winston. The interesting part for me with this quarterback room is I think they really thought that Tommy DeVito might clear waivers. And I thought there was no chance Tommy DeVito was clearing waivers. And so they lost the guy who actually knows this offense the best. So even within helping your young quarterback prepare for the future, you no longer have the guy who's been in the offense for 3 years for him to lean on and learn the offense from. Like, he can learn how to play the quarterback position from Jameis. He can learn how to play the quarterback position from Russell Wilson. He can't learn this offense from them because they're all learning the offense at the same time. The only person who had a command of this offense, and you could see it in the way he played, was Tommy DeVito. And so now Tommy DeVito's with New England, and shout out to him because he really did earn the opportunity to go and be on someone's active roster and not on someone's practice squad. So shout out to him for that. But that's what I've been saying on my own pod, is that when you get into situations where you have to let guys who have value to your team go, that's when you know you're going in the right direction, right? Because if you're not going in the right direction, then you don't have to do those things. Like when they made the cuts for quarterback last year, there was no trepidation about it. They didn't go, man, I hope we're not making a mistake. I guarantee you somebody in that building went, man, do we really want to let Tommy DeVito go? And I'm not saying Tommy DeVito is a world beater. I'm saying that's a guy who could have been the 10-year backup. He could have been the Sorgi to their Peyton Manning, right? To Dart. He could have been that backup that just stayed the backup for the next 8 years, 10 years, right behind Jackson Dart. And they just grow together because he had a little bit more experience than Dart and more experience in his offense.
It's interesting that you say that, because I do agree that they felt like he was going to clear the waivers and they was going to have him on the practice squad. I was saying that all off season, even in the preseason. I'm like, yeah, but I still believe that they're going to keep all 4 in the building and DeVito will be there. He'll just be on the practice squad. And I just never took account of him going anywhere else. A team looking at him and saying, you know what? He needs to be on our 53. I didn't take that account. But like you said, given the fact of he had the opportunity in preseason to show that he belongs on a 53-man roster, and he did so, kudos to him. But where I give you the nod is, and which I wasn't thinking about in that nature of him teaching the playbook and this offense to Dart, and even helping a Winston or Wilson when they have a question about the offense, like, you know what, hey Tommy, what do Dave's want on this play? You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that they did that in this preseason, in this off season, and I heard stories. I heard Dart say the guy that was really the most helpful was DeVito. That they had this bond together. So yeah, that's an interesting thing that you say, and yeah, it will his absence will be missed in a way, but I still think they're in good nature because like you said, you have the other 2 that can teach him the football, and Dave's can go ahead and tell him exactly what he wants in this whole year. So that's the gift of having him sit and watch on the sideline, and Dave's can be on the sideline. You see what Wilson did there? That's what I want. So yeah, great. Good stuff. I want to ask about the defense now. Um, of course, this pass rushing is mean. This pass rushing is looking crazy. But with that pass rush, how do you attack that pass rush is to run the damn ball. So how do you think that this rush defense will bode going into this season? Because that is something that has been a issue before, and I don't know if it's cleaned up yet.
I mean, I'll say this. I actually do think it's more cleaned up than people have given it credit for. I'm extremely impressed with the offseason moves to bolster the defensive line that the Giants made, and they're not sexy, and so that's why people don't really look at it the way they should, because Roy Robertson Harris, um um he's not gonna he's not a sexy name, right? um but at the end of the day, Roy Robertson Harris is a guy who does one thing really well. He defends the run, and he's versatile. He's used to playing on the inside, but he can also play defensive end, right? He played inside with the Browns when he was the Browns, or the Carolina Panthers. Then he played on the outside when he was with Seattle last year. He's a guy who's come in, and you can't really tell a lot of times because his defensive line play, but he's solid. He's doing it without Dexter Lawrence, right? The biggest issue for me is getting a guy like Chauncey Golston and essentially telling me that Chauncey Golston's just going to be the backup outside linebacker, to Brian Burns or to Kayvon Thibodeau. To me, that's the part where I go, why are you using him like that? Like he can be a guy who plays inside, right? He can be a guy who plays inside. He can be a guy who who can be a disruptor. I think the whole point about the pass rush is something that people have to realize. Hey, we can rush. I mean, we can play the run on the way to the quarterback, because if you're able to disrupt the lanes as fast and as explosive as this team should be able to disrupt the lanes, they won't be able to get those big on bigs or those gap schemes off, or the zone, or even the zone schemes, because those guys are going to be a yard, maybe two in the backfield. I like the explosiveness of this team. I'm not the biggest Nunez Roches fan. Like, to me, that's the one guy I could have done without. I would have probably kept Ledbetter, got rid of Nunez Roches. But I don't get a say in these things.
Chapman.
I don't think Chapman helps, because he's supposed to be a situational pass rusher, yet he doesn't get home. Like, it's one thing to run somebody down once they're 15 yards by you. That's cute. It's another thing to actually get people on the ground consistently. And against the run, he just gets swallowed up by offensive line. We saw it during the preseason where backup guys were getting the best of him. I think that they needed versatility, and they needed girth. They have that with Robertson Harris. I think he'll end up being the starter when all else, like when things shake out. I don't think it'll be Nacho. I think he'll end up being out there D tackle along with Lawrence. I know everybody wants Abdul Carter to start, but Kayvon Thibodeau's done nothing to lose his job. And so he'll be the defensive end. Burns will be the outside linebacker, with Carter coming in to spell both of those guys, but then also probably dropping into the 3 technique when they want to go with a more like lean pass rush, which is why I was like, that's interesting, because it almost makes a guy like Chauncey Golston not as valuable if you're going to use Abdul Carter on the inside.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they line these boys up, because they
got
can
options.
do so many things. Yeah, they can do so many things. And you speak of the versatility of Roy Robertson Harris. Agree. That's somebody that I seen flying all around in the preseason. I'm like, boy, like I didn't know he would like that. Um, but also the versatility of a Ghostin, right? Because you can line him up anywhere, and then you can do the same with Abdul Carter. And I'm like, okay. So like I said, there's so many options and variations that you can do. And even though, it may not be ideal, but you can also line Abdul Carter where you got McFadden at. So I mean, it's just interesting. We'll see how this all goes. I know they never lined him up in that position, as far as preseason and training camp and all that, but that is an option that you can go to. So it's a lot of versatility with those linemen and linebackers on this team, and I'm looking forward to that. But there is an issue there with this defense, and that is these cornerbacks. Now we pay big money to a Debo. That's fine. We can knock him out the box. But we got a couple guys that is 3-year guys that needs to show something here in Banks and Flock. How you feel about those guys?
Well, no, let me ask you, like, what do they have to show?
Well, from what everybody's saying, Banks had a very down year last year, being the number one cornerback, putting in that position. And a whole new defense, learning the zone aspect. So, also had well, Fly had a good year. Fly
Yeah.
had a good year. But he's at that stage where it's like a show me, show me or who are you? You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So,
Okay.
um,
So
yeah, go ahead.
so like here's my problem with this narrative of the cornerbacks were struggling. Number one, I think the cornerbacks got scapegoated because the safety play sucked last year, right? You
Mm.
got rid of one of the best safeties in the league because you didn't want to pay him. Yet another homegrown guy that you let walk out the door. You thought you could just replace him with a rookie and a guy you got, off the street. And they didn't do it. Tyler Newman is not a third level safety. They're going to keep trying to make him a third level safety, but he's not. He's a second level safety who has ball instincts. Those things happen. Like you can be a second level safety and have ball instincts. Just because you're not a just because you have ball instincts don't mean that you necessarily play the best at the third level. So you got them, you got him, but then you also have like the other safety who is a second level safety who has some ball skills. So you essentially drafted the same dude twice, right? And so now you're sitting and you had to go out and get somebody to really be a legitimate third level safety, except he does a lot of damage when he's at the second and first level as well. So I know that everybody was heavy on, the corners, and it's no doubt like Deontay Banks had a down season last year from his rookie season. But let's not forget his rookie season. Everybody was saying we found the cornerback number one. We found the guy who's going to start for the next 8 years on one side of the island. And then they went and changed the defense on him to something that completely doesn't fit his style. So now what was he supposed to do? He's trying to learn on the fly. He doesn't feel comfortable. He's feeling slightly alienated. He's feeling like people are scapegoating him. He had a down year. But and I was talking to Bit Dash knows about this. For most Giants fans, they know Bit Dash.
Shout out
And
to Big Dash, friends of mine.
he is like harping on this. They didn't name a starter. Who's the starter of those two? And I just keep going, why does that matter? Like, who cares? If they haven't named the starter for those two guys, that means that they believe both of those guys are starting caliber. What's better than having two starting caliber cornerbacks? Having three. When one goes down, you have another one to replace. That's what teams all over the NFL have been able to do when they're good. And that is something the Giants have not been able to do. So I'm excited about the fact that you have a Debo who I think is going to struggle a little bit because a Debo is handsy and he's not as twitchy as people give him credit for. He's going to be out there grabbing and trying to make it ugly with some of these elite wide receivers in the NFC East. And they're gonna be able to get the better of him from time to time. But I think he'll muck it up enough to allow those other guys to be able to cook. And so, like, I like the fact that this defensive backfield, especially at the cornerback position, has 3 starters, not just 2. So if something happens to one, they've got another one to put in place.
Okay. So making that and going that, how you feeling about Javon Holland?
I
And what
think
does he bring to that table from what you spoke of for the safety last year?
ranginess. I think he brings the ability to be rangy at the 3rd level. The question is going to be, will he get nosy? Will he be too nosy in the 2nd level and the 1st level? Will he be trying to come down and make plays that aren't for him to make, right? That really should just be for him to watch happen or watch someone else make, so that he can protect the money, which is that back third, right? I think if he does that, they'll be fine. This is not Wink Martindale's defense. And so you're not going to see the dynamics of the free safety and the strong safety being some of your leading tacklers like you did in Wink's system, because Wink's system was really more predicated on man-to-man, which allowed the safeties to kind of drop down and play a lot like linebackers from time to time. And so I don't think you'll see that. But I think if he can stay rangy on the 3rd level and be there as that safety net that allows those cornerbacks to be a little bit more aggressive and play trail technique underneath coverage on these wide receivers, you can get a nice bracketed session, because he's a Javon Holland's one of the most rangy safeties in all the game. And so it was a great pickup, as long as he's going to be utilized the way he needs to be utilized in a zone system.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to let you go soon, but I can't let you go without asking about this offensive line, specifically Evan Neal. Of course, that has kind of like been the spotlight of the off season, is his position change. But how you feel about this offensive line overall, and like I said, specifically Evan Neal?
Well, the first thing is that I wish nothing more for Giants fans than for them to like get over the fact that Evan Neal called them names back when they were calling Evan Neal's names. I think it's really hilarious that the New York Giants fans threw rocks at Evan Neal, and then when Evan Neal turned around and started barking back, they all hid their hands like cowards. That's not what I envision when I think about New York Giants fans. I think about guys and girls who stand in what they say. Let the people tell it. Evan Neal is just bad, and they've never done anything to provoke Evan Neal. Meanwhile, I remember all of the razzing about his size and about him eating burgers and all this other stuff, and him not, mind you, they were doing all of that with him being injured for most of the first 3 years of his career, right? His first 2 years for sure, and then the offseason of his 3rd year, where he didn't even get a chance to compete for a position that they said he was going to compete for. At right tackle, they moved him not because they had to move him. When what he was doing just didn't look great, but it wasn't as bad as people made it seem. But anytime you give up sacks as a offensive lineman, it's going to be hyper focused on the same way that a DB can guard a wide receiver great for the entire game, but if they gave up one touchdown pass, then people are like, oh, you were getting cooked. That's the Evan Neal syndrome. So now he moves over to guard, where he is the 2nd best run blocker on the team, behind a guy who's not playing and who we don't know when he will play. He's the best run blocker on the team, or the 2nd best run blocker on the team. He has protection around him, because the only place he truly struggles is in the speed rush, where he has to like get out there and try. Now he no longer has to do that. And people are trying to nitpick at the way in which he looks when he's blocking inside to say, oh, he's a bust. No, people, he's been really good this preseason. You just won't get out of your own way because y'all are convinced that you have to talk bad about this person forever. And it doesn't make any sense to me because it doesn't actually help New York Giants fans win games for Evan Neal to be bad. But I say all that to say you're not going to have to worry about him because right now he's the number 2 guy. So like until he's a number 1, or if he's ever a number 1 again, like why do we even have to keep on having these conversations? They already didn't pick up his 5th-year option, so this is his final year to be able to kind of prove that he belongs. And quite honestly, Shakes, like I don't think there's any chance he comes back next year. I think that if he goes out in free agency, or if they let him go out into free agency, he's going to have a big market for him. I'm not saying he's going to get major money. I'm saying there's going to be a lot of teams that want him. And I think Evan Neal will welcome not being on this team anymore just because he doesn't want to have to deal with some of the New York Giants fans that he's had to deal with over his first 3 seasons.
And, you know, a lot of what you said, I agree with, and a lot I don't. And let me break it down to you. Because you said in the beginning, you don't know the Giant fans to be this way. But I do. Because I have a great memory, right? And so I can recall them bashing and knocking Andrew Thomas. Remember that? And then he showed who he was, that he's the real deal in the following season, and they shut the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
They did the same thing to Big Dex. Dex was a bust. He wasn't doing anything. And I told him he was in the wrong position. He
He's
needs to be
playing
at
out of
the nose
position.
tackle. Exactly. He needs to be at the nose tackle. And what happened? He went to the nose tackle. Now he's Big Dex, sexy Dexy that we know today, right? But remember, they were bashing him too. Okay? So they are known for this.
The only difference is
Go ahead.
those 2 dudes never responded back.
That's what I was heading to.
And so my problem is that when the New York Giants, when you attack someone, right, and then they bark back, don't act like you never did anything. Don't act like he came out of nowhere with, like they were acting as if Evan Neal just woke up one day and chose violence against Giants fans, and they don't know why. And to me, I've never seen Giants fans act that cowardly. That was my problem. Like in that particular case, you got to own why this dude is acting the way he's acting, because you guys were on him heavy, and he heard it, and it hurt his feelings, and so he barked back. But I like I said, I say all that to say we don't have to worry about Evan Neal because he's not a starter. And if he does become a starter, you're going to see all of a sudden the run game have an uptick because neither Runyon or Van Roten are particularly good at run blocking.
And that's why even though they say GVR has been like the best offensive lineman since, Andrew Thomas has been knocked down or whatever. He's been our best offensive lineman on the team. And okay, I'll give y'all whatever, if that's what y'all want to say, on a bad offensive line team. Okay, fine. But my thing is, Evan Neal, like you just said, is the better run blocker. So if you are trying to be a balanced team or even a run to set up a pass team, wouldn't it be better to have Evan Neal in that lineup?
Bingo.
I'm just saying. So,
Bingo.
I mean,
what does that mean, though, Shakes?
I don't know if
that means they're not planning on being a running team. They didn't bring in these passers. They didn't bring in these passers to turn around and hand the ball off to Tyrone Tracy all day. Like, they brought in these passers because they want to throw the ball. Like, this is what they're going to be. 300 plus yards of passing every game. That is what they're hoping to be, because that's what they've set themselves up. Remember, they let Saquon Barkley go, and these were the words of the GM at the time. I don't need to watch my $20 million quarterback turn around and hand it off to a $15 million running back. So, like, he wasn't willing to pay Saquon Barkley because they want to pass the ball. They want this to be a chuck and duck with the running game being a complement, not being the main course. That's why Greg Van Roten's in there. That's why John Runyon's in there. It's not because they're the better run blockers. It's because they're the better pass protection guys. And I can't even argue it. My problem is John Michael Schmitz is the worst offensive lineman on this team. And yet he stays out there when Greg Van Roten would be an upgrade at center, and then you can put Evan Neal in. That's my problem. John Michael Schmitz, and I misspoke. He's not the worst offensive lineman on the team. He's the worst offensive lineman in the starting lineup.
Right, I got you.
And if we started going down the list, he's probably the 8th best offensive lineman. Right? Like, I would put Neal over him, and I would put Bo over him. I might even put James Hudson over him, which would make him the 9th best. So I don't really understand, if you're really trying to be better, like, then he has to take a monumental leap this year, like more than any one of these other guys, because he came in as the set it and forget it guy. He's older than Evan Neal, or old as Evan Neal, and Evan Neal's going into year number 4. Right? So, like, I look at him and I go, that's where we really need to see the improvement at. Because if we don't, it's not going to matter what the guards are doing and what the tackles are doing if the center's getting beat on a regular basis in the run game and in the pass protection.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't heard many people talk too much about JMS. I just know that it's not very good praise, and I didn't really hear too much knock neither. But yeah, he's a player that definitely has to take a step up this year. I don't think he was that bad as you make it sound, but I do not think it's as good for me to defend, right?
Shakes, 2 years ago, he was one of the worst offensive linemen in all of football. Like, statistically. And I'm not even really on it, but like, statistically, he was one of the worst offensive linemen in all of football.
He's a rookie, though.
He was a 25-year-old rookie. Like, he was a rookie who played, 5-6 years in college? Like, he was the rookie that was supposed to come in what was an extremely heavy center draft. He was supposed to be the best of all of them, and a guy that they said, hey, he's a plug in and forget. The year before, they could have taken Tyler Lindenbaum, who I wanted him to take. They didn't do it. They took JMS the next year, who was supposed to be a better value, and he was one of the worst offensive linemen in football, not just at his position, like overall in football. His next year, he was better, but he still was one of the worst. Like, he had improved from what he did as a rookie, but he still wasn't amongst like the mediocre. And so now in year 3, yeah, he has to be good. Like, not just okay, not just like relevant. Remember, they put 2 brand new guards around him last year. So that was a part of his improvement. They improved the guard play around him. But he has to be the one that makes the quantum leap if this entire offensive line wants to make the quantum leap.
All right. Well, you gotta prediction for this Giants team? What's your season prediction?
Man, I'm not predicting anything, Shakes. We're in the content business. I'm hoping for wins, baby. Like this
Nobody
one
want.
thing, the one thing I know for certain is that the views are up when the team is winning. Right? The
Mm-hmm.
clicks are up when the teams are winning.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
here for the wins, man. I want to talk glowingly about players. I want to high five people virtually in person. I want there to be great feelings. And if there are losses, I want them to be close competitive losses where the fan base can argue about whether or not they should have won the game, not whether or not they should tank the game. Like I'm hoping for the positivity because, like they say in Monsters Inc., right? Like they found out in Monsters Inc., it's the positive that sold more than the negative. It's the positive that charged up the people more than the negative. And so I'm looking forward to that. That's what I'm really like. That's what I'm really on. I don't have a prediction. I think that this team can be better than what many people think they can because they believe that this is like the hardest schedule in America. But that's really based off of last year and who knows what this year is going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they have the opportunity to be as successful as any other team not named Philadelphia in the division.
Mm. Wow. To me, I keep on saying it. I'm gonna keep on saying it. I believe this team is a 8 to 9 win team. And that's because of the schedule is so difficult. If the schedule wasn't so difficult, I would say we could squeeze 10 out this motherfucker. But yeah, I do
Said, give me
believe it's
10 out this mother.
yeah, man. But I do believe it's an 8 to 9 win team. Because of the quarterback play is improved. I believe the defense is more monstrous. It can be, if not top five, definitely top 10 notch defense. And in that aspect, if you can run the ball, what you said they don't want to be that type of team, but I believe that they want to be more balanced when you go out there and you see what a tracing gives you, and then you go out and grab a scatterboo as well in the next year's draft. I don't think that you're forgetting about the run game. I just think that maybe you're right. Maybe they want to be a pass first or more of a pass oriented team. But I do believe that they want to have that run game, have it be balanced where you can't focus on one area. And so, um, and when they want to be physical and they want to get physical, they can. And when they want to throw it down that ball, throw it down that field, I believe that now they have the quarterback to do so, and they have the receivers in Neighbors, Hyatt, Slayton. Those guys can go down the field, which is going well for Wilson's moon ball type of thing. So I think it all fits well, and that's why I think that people are sleeping and they're going to wake up because we're going to shock a lot of teams and we're going to win. And 8 to 9 wins, I don't know, man. It could be in the hunt for that seventh wild card spot. So hey, don't wake me. I'm dreaming. All right, but but I appreciate Coach G and Clemons coming through, man. You want to give me a closing statement and I'll let you get up out of here.
Nah, man. I just want everybody to come on over. New York Giants on SI. Go over there. We are trying to get to 3,000 subs before we hit the first game. So help us go ahead and get there. Be a part of the movement. Definitely come over and check out everything that I'm doing at a Giant issue over there. When you go to the page, you'll see the Big Blue breakdown with Paul Latino. What's up there first? But make no mistake about it. When you flip down to a Giant issue, you'll see where it gets popping at. And that's what your boy. And not to toot my own horn or pat my own back, but that New York Giants on SI fan base. It's a lot of a Giant issue fans over there, and we appreciate every single one of you that have come over and checked us out. Always thankful to Shakes for having me on, man. Come and talk a little bit real talk. Still got to get you over there to the platform, man, and have you chop it up over there with us.
Oh, anytime, man. Just let me know. I'm ready. Appreciate everything that y'all do over there, man. Shout outs to y'all. Shout outs to Patty. You know what I'm saying? Shout outs to Patty, Patty Shakes. Um,
Yeah, Patty Shake's got a new show starting soon too, man. Shout out to her. She's doing big things over there on Locked On. So that's what's up.
nah, shout outs to her for sure, man. She's always definitely doing big things, man. And shout outs to K&P Productions, my production team, for holding it down for me, doing the production work for me. And yeah, man, shout outs to the old crew, shout outs to the new crew. Y'all already know what to do. And shout outs to you. Like I always say around this time, man, leave a like, man, subscribe, man. I'm just jumping out there now, yeah, I mean, on my rolling dolo from state to state, like Method Man said. You know what I'm saying? So y'all go ahead and show your boy some love. Leave me a like, give me a subscribe. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the road to 50, right? Or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just starting, baby. But I'm out here. Y'all know I'm ahead now all season long. So y'all stay tuned. And shout outs to the Aboriginal Sports Network as well. And yeah. Good night.